Let me get the right track on here. What's going on, everybody? It's time for track feedback. So, track feedback. I'm Steve Knotts. It is Saturday, August 7th. And today we're going to talk about how you can rip off your shirt, jack big muscles. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how you can make your music better, what you can do specifically in terms of sound design, song structure, and mixing, and leveling your mic, so you can make your track sound better. We listen to tracks that people put in the group, and sometimes we identify problems and make suggestions of how you can fix your problems. Or a lot of times recently, more often, and this is really fun, we've been finding tracks that are so good, there's nothing wrong with them. They are done. And in that case, I like to replay little sections where something really cool happens and specifically identify what they're doing that works so well and give you a little recipe of how you can do the same thing, whether that's a big clean drop that we're like, whoa, how'd that happen? Or a really cool riser, or something about the mix, or something about the song structure, like how they introduce the elements to the track, how did they create a build-up or make it sound cool. A lot of times people cut off the end of their reverb tails, or they stop the track with no ending, and that's an easy one where we always talk about, hey, we need an ending. So let me make sure I can see your comments. Click to expand. Okay. Monitor feedback's good. I think the mic is on. Give me a yes if you're watching and you can hear me and hear the music. And let me know where you're coming from, where you're at, and how you're doing. Let's try to keep the private messages down to a minimum, because it turns out that when you message me, it makes a ping, and the ping goes through the broadcast and interrupts the music, and nobody wants to hear a ton of pings. So I'm going to go through the tracks that are in the feedback post, and we're going to start with, the one you're hearing right now is a track that I put up that's in the feedback post. It's a little jam I made to go with the free preset that's on the Mixitecture members site, which is at choruses.mixitecture.com. You can click in, get some free Ableton effects tracks, instruments, and channel strips to help you mix better and have fun. I like this part of the track. It's the ending. And I freaked out the sound right here. Watch this. Womp. James Causey on the way to the studio in California. Must be morning. Good morning. Okay, that's enough of that. That was my track. Now we're going to go right into Peter May with a track called Random... and Ben Olson. Actually, since you're here, let's start with a short axe track. I like to play tracks from people who are watching. So Ben, here we go. Short axe, track called Calm. I just had to sneeze. All right, what do we got?
Calm mind, calm body.
Aha, nice kick drum, nice intro. That vocal sounded really good on top of the mix. Nice and loud out front. The kick drum has a lot of click on it and some nice heavy low end. Let me check in my speakers right away.
Open your mind.
Hey, what's up, Oliver? How is the level? Is it clipping on your end? I'm trying to get it loud and keep my broadcast within range here.
This is now Bentley.
I like how the track is progressing. I'm cruising right along with it. Sounds great. White noise riser going to a cymbal crash into the breakdown. Classic, always works.
Calm mind, calm body.
I like that little delay. Stereo pan, actually. Nice. Nice and deep. There's a little bit of buzz on the high end of that bass. That's something you hear in dubstep a lot, but not so much in like trance, where the sub bass has like a crispy high end that's kind of rattling or like buzzing. Hey, Paul Robinson, what's happening? Okay, so Ben, right away, I'm going to say the sound design is great. All the sounds are interesting. They're flowing together. It feels like it's coming from the same space of sound. Fits the trance genre really nicely. And I like the rhythm in the sound design. It's so cool how interesting sounds lead you to the arrangement. There's a little sound that's a ticka, 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 ticka. A little synth that like comes and goes and makes a real nice rhythmic pulse. Song structure is working great too. We're at 3 minutes. The track is flowing. I can see on SoundCloud that it's near the ending. We're at 3:18 and it's building down. So I think this track could be longer because right here at 3:25, this would be a nice breakdown and then come back in with another 32 bars of like almost a minute of nice hard beats, just bass and beats. But we're fading out to an ending. So I think you can easily add another minute on this track, Ben, and make it, just give us more of what we want. It sounds good. Let's go back to the beginning. Here's the intro coming in. What was that? Okay, the way that he created a build-up effect, you'll hear this in old Aphex Twin where there's a sound with a delay that goes faster and faster and faster and faster. You could also get it by looping a sample and changing the loop time shorter and shorter and shorter. Listen to this. It sounds like kind of a metal sound that's going like from right here at like 18 seconds.
Calm mind, calm body.
That was cool. And notice that the sub-bass sound has a little high frequency like buzz on it. That's so interesting for me in sound design because in speaker land, if you overdrive a speaker and get the metal frame of the driver actually rattling inside the speaker housing, you can get that buzz sound that sounds like a speaker getting blown, like a speaker thrasher. And now it's become part of sound design to add that in. So I love the sounds. Okay, right there, I noticed that at 53 seconds, there's that thing of the snare drum, the with a big reverb on it that makes a little bit of a break. The first time I heard that, I thought that snare needs to be louder. So let me replay that from like 50 seconds. Here we are at 49. Right there, that snare that's like, it's like one loud snare hit that sidechain that makes the whole rest of the track duck. It's a really good effect. In this situation, I think that snare could be a little bit louder and duck the rest of the music even quieter, so it's a more dramatic like, and then the track comes back in. One more time coming from 49 seconds. I like the effect a lot. You could make that even more exaggerated, louder snare, duck the volume of everything else more intensely. And other than that, make the track longer.
Calm mind, calm body.
And that vocal, the female voice, it's like built in that makes me relax. And the meaning of the track.
Now, Bentley.
Calm mind, calm body, atmospheric synths. Nice bass and rhythm. It's not a boring track, it's an interesting track, but it also feels deep and calm. So I like everything about it except for the fact that it's not long enough. Rob Connolly, do not message me right now, please, because we're doing a broadcast, bro. Okay, so that's Ben Olsen. Nice track, man. That sounds done to me. Where can I mute for an hour? Yes, I have to do it. All right, we are moving on to Danats, Adam Hatfield. Ed Vizcarra's here. What's going on? Paul Robinson. Yeah, so I'm going to go through the tracks that people posted in the top of the group. Just go top to bottom this time for a change. So Adam Hatfield, track called It's My Inoculation. Change to what's playing now. Ed, yeah, I took the turned the lights off. I'm trying to keep it cool in here with less lighting, so I went for the blue LED world. Peter May, no, you're gonna be next. Charles Franco, what's up? Okay, Adam, this sounds like I'm kind of a new track, meaning that the beats are like kind of simple and not super developed yet. All right, good. The comment, he says, this week's work in progress, early stages of arrangement and mix down. Need some other opinions. Let me make sure I didn't miss. Oh, there we go. That hi-hat. Okay, that's what I needed. Some more rhythm. The opening hi-hats didn't sound loud enough, which made me feel like it was not so advanced. But here we go. It has a nice pulse to it. It has an up and down feeling. Jump, 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 jump. Check it in the speakers. Yeah, I think that kick drum could hit harder. I agree, Ed. Let me give it a little bit on the EQ. Oh. I like what the hi-hats are doing. It's a little bit like a garage beat. All right, Ed, read the words in the comments. The low mid-range of that pulsing synth is fighting with the kick drum. That's exactly right, and that's why the kick drum feels like it's not bumping so hard, because it's probably a great kick, but when the synth layer is overlapping, there's too many... Linda, that is iced coffee. We're at 2.5 minutes, kind of a breakdown. Here we go. There we go. White noise riser, cymbal crash, drop a beat. That's cool. Ian Waters. I like that one synth that's right on the upbeat. Dun, dun, dun. That gets me going in the groove. I wonder if we get a part later in the track with only the bass line and no kick drum, or maybe only the kick drum and no bass line. That would be cool. I'm not trying to show off. I actually am kind of warm up here. All right, good. Now for variation, we're hearing some vocal samples coming in. I was wondering if we would get like a new drum part or something. There's the kick drum by itself. Yeah, this has a nice groove right here. So we need to do some bass mixing with the instruments to get the bass line and synths locked in with the kick drum. In rough terms, what I would do is take a stereo group, put all the synths into that stereo group and put a high pass filter up to like 80 or 100 hertz, and then let the kick drum be big from like 80 on down. Randy Adams, all right. Okay, we're at 4 minutes and 18 seconds, and I'm starting to feel like we need a change, which means we have the beat continuing and the sample to chop thing happening, but not a lot of rhythmic variation, so it feels like we're kind of in the same section for a little bit too long. Breakdown. This part could maybe use an atmospheric kind of a pad or something to hold the flow, because now that it's only little chopped up sounds, it's like a little bit... Yeah, there we go. That harmonic synth is good for this section. This part's good. 511. Do I hear a little bit of a delay on that bass line? Ticka, ticka, ticka. I was saying last week, I often like the end of the track best, where it's just beats and bass line and a little bit of effects or something. Okay, let's get on out to 6.5. Here do we hear how do we end it? I like that echo on the little voice sample right here. Check one at 6:19. Matt Schultz, hey. And the very end. Okay, so that was it. All right, so Adam Hatfield, what we need to do is in the middle section, it felt like it was a little bit too long. There was nice variation coming in with the vocal chops and samples, but the beats basically were continuing through the same kind of a feel almost the whole track. So I'm gonna skip through parts of the track and just ask the question, how much does the rhythm change? Like, do we hear the same exact sounds the whole time or do they change? So here we are at the very beginning. Kick, snare, hi-hat. That hi-hat's not loud enough. Here's 109, a new hi-hat, a couple little extra taps that really make it sound nice, like that UK garage thing, like chicka, 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 that. Here we are at 2 minutes coming into the break. White noise riser, crash, okay. 240, 3 minutes. Now here at 4 minutes, the beats have been exactly the same, and the synths are changing and the samples are changing a little bit, but I would do something a little predictable. Just go with an open hi-hat for a minute and get that, bring that in for some rhythmic variation for 8 bars, and then mute it. And then maybe get into that 909 sample of the ride, you know, the ride cymbal where it's like ding, ding, ding. You know, open hi-hat and a ride cymbal are two really easy sounds to layer in for rhythmic variation so that your beat doesn't get stale. So that's my recommendation for you on that. And opening hi-hat, bring it up a little bit louder. And then for the kick drum and the bass synths, the bass line is a little too like floofy on the bottom. It's overlapping with the kick drum, so that could use a little tightening up in the mix. Overall, good track, interesting, has a nice bounce, and I like it. So now we're gonna move on to Peter May, Random Techno, and let me restart that track. Here we go. Peter May. Matt said that's that last track is like one of those tracks to get you from A to B in a set. Yeah, that's nice. They're useful, but it's not a track that's gonna stick out as super memorable until we get it dialed in, and then it will be. Oh, Peter May dropping the kick drum. Wow, 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 wow. I like that synth rhythm. Wow, wow, wow. First minute. Okay, Peter, comment. Haven't done anything since Monday, pads and drums still to come. I like it so far. That kick drum is super rumbly. Doom, 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 doom. Nice rumble on the kick. A lot of stereo action happening with the synth layers. Oh, I didn't notice there's no drums, huh? That one bass that's going da-da-da-da-da is effective as a rhythm just by itself. Nice slow pan. Wow. Getting wild with the filters. Yeah, that last section, I agree, Ian. The kick drum needed to be louder. It was like a stampede of elephants coming in, but they didn't get close enough, if you know what I mean. 2 minutes, we're in a little breakdown part. I hear some plinks on my right ear. Little plinky synth. All right, we get more of the acid line. Let's see what happens with that. I hear something raising in pitch. That rumble kick needs to get louder and louder at this point. It's like a snare drum rush, but on the opposite, on the low end. Maxime! All right, and there we go with the rumble. High frequency synth. Yeah, man, if you layer in like a closed hi-hat tick and a little hand clap or something, I mean, you don't need a lot of beats at all. Here, I'll beatbox for you. Who else has some recommendations on drums? What kind of drums can you hear? This is cool because you can totally like visualize any percussion you want on this part. I would keep it simple with a closed hi-hat, a hand clap with a stereo width, and then do that thing with the open hi-hat and the ride. And then I would make like a chopped up kind of thing. Except now 342, now we need percussion because this part is super cool. The synths are cool, but the drums are obviously not there. So let's see where we go. 413, tweaking filters, cut the kick drum to make a little break, and back to the rumble kick. Yeah, all right, so Peter, these are great sounds. It's interesting, it's a nice atmospheric world, and the rumble kick is definitely working. The filter tweaks, the acid combination, and the synths are really rhythmic, so there's a lot of almost percussive rhythm happening in the track so far, but not enough with the high frequency elements that are missing. And that's a fun exercise to do. If you've got a track and you feel like it's not hitting yet and it's not working yet, ask the question of how many drums are in, the question is, do I have percussion in every part of the frequency range? So a really simple one is if your track is feeling like it's not going over the top and launching, maybe it's missing a crash. Maybe you need to add a crash at the drop to just throw the energy over the top with that really bright, like strobe light, but like the sonic equivalent of a flashbulb. Or if the track feels like there's a super heavy low and the highs are all brittle, maybe you need to add some mid-range percussive elements like a conga loop, a hand drum loop, like toms that are sequenced in a pattern or something like that. Shakers, yeah, Tom, good point. So distributing your percussion through, I'm just gonna go ahead and say you should always have percussion in the whole frequency range, where the kick drum is at the bottom, obviously. The low mids can be all kinds of different drum loops or anything that's got mid body in it for that rhythm pressure. And then high frequency is gonna be your hi-hats, open hi-hat crash, that kind of thing, white noise. You really need to have drums in all the frequency ranges to make a track feel full. And once you have that, you really could just go with a bass line and one other synth and have a track. I remember the Roland JP8080 had 2 parts, meaning you could send in 2 MIDI channels and get 2 parts, and one would be the bass and the other one would be the strings or whatever. And that was awesome. If you had a drum machine and one of those, you could make music, because that's really all you need is a bass sound, mid-range sound, and some beats. So Peter May, cool track. Bring it back next week with those hi-hats in there. Let's see what we can do. Matt Schultz is saying closed hat, clap, and a shaker, and some ice cubes to rattle in the glass for sound effects. Let's go into Randy Adams, see what we got. Randy Adams, gonna turn it up as soon as I type your name. All right. There we go, Randy bringing it in. This track's called Moments. I just updated the title. You need to get with Octavio PD and get some deep sets going on, man. Yeah, it feels smooth, totally. Oh my God, right there, that little snare drum roll. Let me rewind that, hold on. 59 seconds right before the drop. And was that a reverse bass beat? Oh my God, a snare drum tap and a reverse kick drum. That is a super cool little rhythmic break. There's the open hi-hat, bringing it in. I like those little snare taps a lot. There's a nice swing in here too. It feels like an egg shaker or a little shaker sound. Nice delay. Is that in the same key though? I'm feeling like that melody line might have been one note too high in the scale. Lana, are you watching? Can you get an ear on that melody and let me know? Boom, 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 boom. Bass line's clear. The atmospheric stuff is awesome. And there's that ride cymbal sound right on cue. All right, Peter May is looking for a little boost on that open hi-hat a little bit. This one, if that's at 232, is that the open hi-hat? Come on. Right here. At 231, this hi-hat I think could be a little louder. Okay, Oliver, thank you. Yeah, let's rewind that. I want to make that part clear. This is back to 107. Find that melody. Okay, yeah, there. Coming in at 130 about. Okay, that little melody note's and I think it should be one step lower to go with the bass line. Yeah. Randy Adams, pitch that MIDI track down, please. I think it'll lock in harmonically better. I'm gonna skip forward again. 3 minutes, heading up to a little mini break. Vocals, that's cool. Bass line is super clear, kick drum's nice, mix is feeling great. I like the drum layers, the synth layers. Yeah, so far that one melody line is the biggest comment I have is pitching that. Oh, 3 minutes, 50 seconds. This sounds like an organ. Huh. Okay, the rhythm of that is cool, but as a melody that's not quite working, it's a little bit like that's what it sounds like when, for me, don't take this the wrong way. When I'm like experimenting on the piano and trying to find where I want the melody to be, it sounds like that, where I play a bunch of notes and I get the rhythm right, where I kind of play the piano like it's a drum, and then I experiment a little bit and find the notes that really lock in. But for me, that melody doesn't quite sit. Here we are back at 3:35, and that organ melody line, right? Right here, 347. Yeah, so the melody parts of this track need a little work. Here we are at 4, coming into the last little break at 4:15. So this melody line specifically needs some work. How do we get to that? Do you hear that little sound? This is a sound design comment. There's a little thing that's going like in that gap. Randy, how did you make that sound? That's super cool. And then coming back in the groove. So man, the groove is really solid. And honestly, if I had to get this track done tomorrow, I would just mute those extra melody layers that are drifting out right around that 3 minute, 50 second mark or something. Because you don't really need a new instrument at that point in the song. We're totally in the groove, everything is jamming. It's done, you know, you don't need another layer. So that might be a problem of trying to add extra stuff that the track doesn't really need. Earlier, that one melody lead, and this is another structural thing. Oh, reverse percussion. Good. That's really cool sound. So earlier in the track, when there's that one melody thing that we said was one note too high, right here at 1:30, I like that sound a lot, and I like the delay on it. The thing I don't like is it only happens once in the song and doesn't come back again. And generally with music, if you introduce a new sound and it kind of comes in and then in the beginning, it helps a lot to bring it back again later in the ending, because it kind of like gives it closure and gives you something that you're familiar with that you can enjoy it even more. So what I would recommend doing is out here at 3:53, and this in 4:18, don't even use that new keyboard part at all. Take this little jammy from over here at 1:30. Take that little part at 1:30, pitch it down one note, and use it again later at that ending drop, and that'll be all you need. And then if it's not interesting enough, turn up the feedback on the delay, let it echo more and bounce around more, and then tweak a filter on that, and just do it as a sound design thing that'll keep it interesting so people hear something happening in the track. And honestly, I don't think you need like 5 different synth melody, harmony, rhythm things happening. It gets like almost like too much going on, so you could strip it down a little bit. Remember, simplicity always works. Adding new layers might work, but doesn't always work. So if you can keep it simple, do that. Hey, Lana's here. Okay, Lana, listen to this. Tell me what you think about this melody coming up at 1:29, right at 1:30. That sound. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, the second note of the bass line, doom, doom, boom, boom. That melody note should resolve to the same, the melody line should resolve to the same note as the bass line. Doom, boom, boom, boom. Wow, 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 wow. I wish I had the kind of pitch I could tell you the note, but I don't. So that's my opinion. Randy says, gotcha, and I'm not trying to hammer your track to death. That track is amazing, and we want to hear some more. So I am back to the list of tracks, and who else is here watching? If you put in a track and you're watching right now, let me know, because I want to play tracks from the people who are watching. This takes a little second to scroll down. Scott Burke, Papa Cosman. I know Ian Waters is out there in Waters World. Thanks for all playing everybody's tracks in your radio show yesterday. That was a cool thing to do. A bunch of people in the group had some tracks that Ian played on a radio show. So here we go with a little mix that, whoops. This track uploaded last week. Only part left to do is to bring down the volume. Okay, so let's hear what we got from DJ Waters, Crazy Radio. Update the titles. Let me turn up my master list. Okay. That 8D shit is crazy, man.
When I get low, oh, I get high.
You're going to hear a session at the Savoy Ballroom in Harlem, also known as the home of Happy Feet.
Okay, we got a mashup happening here. Now we're gonna get it. Whoa, bro. living inside a video game. 2 minutes 30. 2:47. All right. Skipping out. Coming up on 4 minutes. This part is fun. Again, at the end of the track. One thing I gotta say is at the beginning, opening up in the beginning, that is way not loud enough compared to what happens in the rest of the track. This could be fixed with just mastering and leveling, but when I first pressed play and I thought, oh, the level's lower, I'm gonna bring it up. And then I brought it up, and then we got hit with this. Which I love, and it's fun, and it's awesome, and it's craziness on a big sound system that just permeates your brain. But that part is way too loud compared to the intro. So make sure if you're gonna have this like gabber stuff happening, make sure your intro opening sound is really loud so that when people set the volume on the mixer, the hard gabber part doesn't just blow the amp, you know, because that's what's gonna happen. Oh, Ian said that in the comments already, that you opened the show? Well, I'm not sure what you said in your comments. One thing you're doing right compared to earlier is that the frequency ranges are much smoother. Oh, I see you said in your opening comment that bring down the volume at 033 is a tad too loud. Well, I perceived it as the intro a tad too quiet at the opening part, but 6 of one, half dozen of another. What I was gonna say is one thing you're doing really well is keeping the frequency range in control so the whole thing is listenable. Like we don't have parts where it's super ear piercing and then super muffled. Like your frequencies are getting balanced a lot better so that as we get through to the ending, it feels like you could actually listen to the whole thing and really enjoy it on a big sound system. So yeah, let's just check how we get out of this. We're at 4:02, 20 seconds more. Stay with me. Yes, I don't know how to comment on the song form except to say that when I was a kid with the tape deck, I used to put the tape deck next to the radio and record. Like I would press the pause button and then listen to the radio and unpause and pause again and try to catch, like I try to anticipate what the person was going to say on the radio and unpause the recorder and record little snips of the voice and then pause it again and do that for like an hour and then rewind it and listen back and it would be like and be all these little mixed up bits of sound. And I loved it. It was super fun. And sometimes I would break the cassette tape and hold the tape in my fingers and like run it back and forth across the tape head. So Ian, I get where you're coming from. This stuff is super fun. Limited audience for it, but when you got a sound system in a party and people who are in the mood, that can really, really make it interesting. And remember, gabber parties and hard techno parties can literally be 12 hours of just like doof, 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 doof. So when you have somebody who brings in some creativity and grabs influences from all over the place with 8D sound programming and puts it in the middle of a hard tech set, that can really be a lot of fun. It's like, oh my gosh, you know, like a break from the monotonous driller bass. So I totally get where that's coming from. Messes your brain up, Matt Schultz, yes. I'm not sure we need much more of that on a collective level. But yeah, that's where it's coming from. All right, good stuff. Let's go on to Papa Cosmin. This is, what did he say about this one? I want to make sure I got the most recent link as always. And he's saying, trying to figure out what's missing from this track. It might be too boring. Might need to find the right vocals. So let's see, here's a track from Noise 88, That Freaky Stuff. More kick drum, right? Oh, thank you. Ooh, rumble kick. Okay, let's see what happens here. Oh, man. There's a little sound in here that I like a lot, rhythmically. Don't waka waka won't in the back. Do you hear that? All right, now that I hear this bass line coming in, I know that the opening kick drum is going to need to be trimmed shorter in duration because that kick drum had a rumble on the bottom. And with a bass line coming in, let's see. I like the vocal. That bass line's not gonna be loud enough. Turn up the bass line. Okay, this is when I knew we were gonna have a problem. Let's go back in and listen to the first time the heavy kick drum drops. This is 15 seconds right here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Do you hear how that kick drum has a really long tail? That's like a techno kick with the rumble, a doo doo doo. It's reverberating a lot. Later when the bass line comes in, there is no room for the bass line to be popping through with a really bouncy like dum boom 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 boom, right? Where's that bass line? We're at a minute 07. That bass line needs to be way louder. Let's see what we got. Nice groove though. I like the drum programming a lot. Yeah, that kick drum rumble needs to be a shorter duration kick drum. Let me skip forward a little bit. Here's 2 minutes 15. And here we can hear the bass line by itself. That bass line needs to be a lot louder. That's a cool bass line though. Oh, this is so cool. Slam it. All right. I like this track. I like the problem in this track because it's so easy to fix and it's really going to get to the heart of the original complaint. So when he posted, Papa Cosman said, I think it's too boring. I'm trying to figure out what's missing from this track. And the answer is actually not to add anything else. It's that you need to cut the duration of the kick drum sample shorter, raise the volume on the bass line, and then instantly the bass is going to start taking people on a bigger bounce. And those drums are going to lock in with the bass line. Kick drum's going to hold it down, and then you have no problems. We're at 3:20 right here. Let's skip forward. 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Exactly. This part of the song is going to be all bass line and drum groove. I'm actually wondering, this could be a studio situation. If this guy is producing in a room where he can't hear the low end of the kick drum, that's a situation where he might have speakers where the bass line sounds big to him and the low end of the kick drum doesn't even show up in his room. That's an acoustics and equipment problem that it can be hard to mix bass. Not everybody can mix it sometimes if you're in literally a square box with little speakers, it can be really hard to identify what's happening in your low end. Right here, you can hear the kick drum with that tail. Right there. Caught that rumble. But I like the groove in this track a lot, man. That feels good, sounds good. So let's move on up to Scott Burke with the stunning white pantsuit. This is, we heard this one last week. There was a voicemail of somebody talking about the clothes. It's somebody he knows who was saying the words that they said, which makes it funnier. So here we go. Dreamy, right? That synth is like floating. Wow, 45 minutes already. Hey, thanks for everybody. Thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. I like being able to listen to music and chat, chill out. I hear something fading in. Snare drum could be louder. This is a 10-minute track. I like that synth line fading up. Ticka, ticka, ticka. I think the theme of today is using synthesizers for rhythm. Ticka, 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 ticka. Hey, Bodarev, nice to see you, man. Oh, don't worry. All you got to do is show up and say hi. That's enough. There we go. You hear how that synthesizer is pulsing at the same way the snare drum is coming in? A lot of white noise. Oh, this is great. Ticka, 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 tick. Let me rewind a little bit to this breakdown. The theme is using a synthesizer to make rhythm so that you don't need to add in drum samples or program beats. You just make your synthesizer do rhythmic stuff. Here's, I'm going to call it a white noise shuffle. I don't know. What do we got? Minute 54. Right there at 2:05. Got the beats, the bass line, the synth variations. Scott's been making these long roller tracks that take you away for a long time. I'm going to skip forward a little bit. 3:04. Ooh. Great delay.
Well, good morning, girls. How are you?
I like how the voice in that melody.
Yes, that was a stunning white pantsuit that I had on. I had to look stylish, you know, when I got off the plane.
Gotta look stylish when you get off the plane. I mean, there's no other way to do it.
I've yet to find that picture, but one of these days, if I do, you girls will see it, okay?
Okay. All right, I'm hearing a big improvement from last week. Listen to, there's the vocal comes in, and then there's a melodic thing that sounds like bells, like tubular bells. And that melody instrument is kind of in the same frequency range of the voice, and it has like a little bit, it kind of complements the vocal really well. 3:07.
Well, good morning, girls. How are you?
Right there. Do, 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 do. It makes a nice
Yes, that was a stunning white pantsuit that I had on.
That bell sound makes a really nice complement to the vocal. That's a very interesting sound design.
I had to look stylish, you know, when I got off the plane. I've yet to find that picture, but one of these days, if I do, you girls will see it, okay?
Okay. 3:49.
Have a good day now. Bye-bye.
Ooh, that's a good blend. 4:09. Really good use of silence.
Well, good morning, girls. How are you? Yes, that was a stunning white pantsuit that I had on. I had to look stylish, you know.
Build it up.
I had to look stylish, you know.
Wow, now we're in tech world. The captions in this video are transcribing a lady.
I got off the plane.
Oh, this is super cool. This is where the track morphs into like a techie kind of thing. This is cool.
I had to look stylish, you know. I got off the plane.
Nice drop. Wow. Coming in full force from the ride. I like the top line melody. That top melody is only a couple of notes, but it really holds together with the bass line. All right, I got to point out something. This is a common thing that we've been hearing in electronic music since a long time ago. Right before 612, there's a drop, and one of the percussion elements does something special. I want to just draw your attention to this. It's easy to do. You can do it. Check it out. We're at 6 minutes right here. What I'm hearing is that ride cymbal goes up in pitch. So there's a ride that's part of the rhythm. It's and then it goes like, check that out one more time, going from 6 minutes out to 6:20 or 6:15. I'm telling you this because when you want to make a build-up, the best way to make a build-up is always to take one of the sounds that people are already hearing and tweak it to make it do something that gets your attention. And then when you get to the end of 8 bars, you stop that sound and the drop happens. A lot of techniques can involve taking something and pitching it up, or chopping it into shorter pieces and repeating it more often, or pitching it down. It's not rocket science, but it always works. So one more time, let's check this out. Coming from 553 right here, listen to what the ride cymbal does. There you go. Pitch up that ride, that's all you gotta do, and it works every time. I like the rhythm in this a lot, the synths. This is like got the prowl. Oh, really cool reverb blossom right there. Scottberg dropping bombs in the comments. Sidechain to the kick drum. Yeah, man. This shit is grooving, dude. .709, totally interesting. I wonder if that opening synth is going to come back in a little bit. Epic moment. Okay, I hear that sound. That means I'm expecting the voice.
Yes, that was a stunning white pantsuit that I had on. I had to look stylish, you know. I got off the plane.
That was awesome. Just as earlier I was talking about how that melody note complements the vocal. Later on, when you play that note, it's like the Pavlov effect. You ring the bell, the dog's mouth waters, you hit the melody, we expect the vocal. Sends a signal in the track. Good composition because it just tells people what to expect, and then they expect it, and then they get it, and then they're happy. It's really that easy. And then here we are with that opening synth again. Cool. Yeah, 10 minutes. This is, I guess in general, anything longer than like 7 minutes, you're almost getting into that live set territory where it's like taking people on a real journey that's more than just one track. Or in other words, for DJs, if they drop this track and they're expecting to get the opening part, then all of a sudden the track can take them somewhere else. And that can be hard if it empty parts to another world, but this one's good because it returns to the opening section. So you get mixed into the track, you go through this other world, then you come back to where you started,
I've yet to find that
so you can
picture.
exit to another
One of these days, if I do, you girls will see it.
mix that would fit. Yeah, Scott, this is great. I know you did a lot of work on it. It flows a lot better than it did last time. The vocal's better. That hypnotic part in the middle is super deep and awesome. I don't have any tips on major problems. I think earlier I said make the snare drum louder, you know, whatever. Have a good day now. Stunning white pantsuit. I mean, you gotta look stylish when you get off the plane, that's the thing. Oh, Ian played 5 minutes of it last night. Did you play the middle or the beginning or what? And then this part's super dreamy. It almost sounds like a plane going through clouds, you know, like na 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 na. Little super slow arpeggio, I guess.
Bye-bye.
And the ending, flying away on the clouds. Nice track, Scott Burke. I see there's a download link on there, which is good because that one is starting to feel playable. Let's go up to Ian Nacht, who has the hexagon eyeball picture on his portrait portfolio that freaks everybody out. Anita Weiner, demo 4. Let me enter in Ian Nacht so everybody knows what we're listening to. And thanks everybody for hanging out, watching. You know what, I'm gonna take a quick little detour and I'll put on some background music. While we're here, if you are new to the Mixitecture universe, one thing you can do is pick up some Ableton Live presets from the Mixitecture member site, which looks like this. And it's courses.mixitecture.com because I make Ableton courses. I make revolutionary hands-on Ableton courses where you learn by doing stuff inside Live. It's a totally different kind of tutorial where you get audio instructions to listen to, examples where automation shows you what to do, and then activities where you learn by doing it inside Live. It's a guided project that teaches you how to do stuff with sound design, side chaining your bass and kick drum that everybody needs to learn, especially gain staging for bass mixes. This is a new course I built where you literally learn how to mix inside Ableton by following a guided project where you make a mix. And it's especially designed for people making electronic music with bass, because you don't want to try learning how to mix from people who are mixing rock, dude. They're going to talk about the vocals for 9 hours and nothing else. Well, not really, but you know what I'm trying to say. This is all for Ableton people. These bottom lessons are all sound design elements with instruments that teach you sound design, and you end up with a cool instrument. So mono sub bass, it is what it is. You need one, and they're really fun to customize. Acid groove bass, that's for tweaking filters on a 303 arpeggiator kind of a sound. The Coom, that's like an 808. Coom. Try to make a descriptive name that sounds like the sound you get. And a bunch of other ones where you learn stuff to do. A little blurb about your studio. If you're having trouble with your bass because you can't hear it because your room is messed up, it might be time to build some bass traps. And this course gives you schematics, like plans, how to build it, what materials to get, the process of doing it from the staple gun to the scissors, and you end up with bass traps like you see in the room behind me that make your room sound a million times better and make it easier to mix because you can hear what your speakers are pushing out. But what I started talking about was free presets. You click in and you can sign up for free. You just enter your email address and your name, no credit card required, and you can download presets for bass lines or bass instruments, synth instruments, leads, effects racks, as you see on the right side. They're grayed out because I didn't sign up yet, but that's a sign up thing. You just put in your name and email, you get instant access, and that will also put you on the Mixitecture email list where I send out a newsletter once a week or more often with new releases, announcements about the workshops and stuff. And then there's some cool little teaser modules for all the other courses. So when you click into them, you'll get an email that reminds you like, hey, you click in here, there's a preview of the course. You can see what you get. You can find out what you're gonna learn and see if it's right for you. There's some effects racks in there and the free presets. Mix tools is cool. There's a vocal channel strip, a sidechain channel strip, a master channel strip, some universal channel strips that have all the mix tools I use on every channel in my mix, like basics, high pass filter, compressor, EQ, limiter, that you can just drop on all of them and play around, and then you can put a motorcycle helmet on and get famous. So that's what is available inside the Mixitecture member site. And like I said, the free presets are free. You can grab them right now and play with them and have some fun and make a track and share it with us in track feedback. This is what we do once a week to help you make better music. Now let's move on to Ian Nacht. That background music is a Steve Knotts mix. Hooray. But let's see what Ian has to do. Coming out. Oh man,
Music producers, R&B divas,
I just hit a SoundCloud
pop
ad.
sensations, whatever music.
That stinks because I just did my whole promo thing during the SoundCloud ad, so I got to do another 30 seconds of promo. Let me check some comments. Scott Burke, cheers. Hey, thanks a lot, man. I'm glad you keep coming back with mixes every week. Peter May is asking, can you play my other track at some point later? I don't think so. I'm trying to keep, we have so many pieces of music and we're already an hour into it that I try to do as many different people's music. If I get into playing like multiple tracks from one person, that gets to be a little bit too much. I would like to, but it's just not quite fair to everybody else. So here we go with Ian Nacht. Wow, interesting intro. I like it. It feels like a jazz loop. Damn! Did you expect that? I didn't know where the downbeat was. I want to restart this and see if we can guess where that beat is. Can you tell where the one is? The downbeat? He's messing with us right there. There is no way to get that groove. I like it. I would put this in the category of like lo-fi beats or something. Awesome groove, nice mix. I like that swing. Cha 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 cha. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. Was that going to be house or what? Great. Vocals. Breaking it down. Feels like we're in a build-up somehow. I would put this, Matt, I would put this in the genre of lo-fi beats. And the reason I put lo-fi because it starts with kind of a jazzy sample that's looped in a weird way with then heavy beats on it. It's kind of trippy. Not a vocal track. And the tempo. Okay, right here at 2:15, this would be a good place to cut the beats out totally and just ride with that opening sample again to have like a return to the opening moment. Definitely cut the beats out so you can bring them back in again. At 240. Always groovy. Always groovy. I don't know. I don't know what she's saying. All right, so let me rewind a little bit for structure. Back to 152 right here. Breaking it down. There's a point we should cut the beats out and have only the floating sample thing. Maybe now we're at 209. Okay, 213. This part has a little bit of a bass line. Right here around 220, I think it would be good to cut the drums out and just have the sample with the drums built into the sample. Because at the beginning, we heard that sample with a little bit of drums, and when the beats dropped, it was so good right here. 16 seconds. That was such a surprise. I did not expect that at all. And I would like to have that feeling again around 2:38. When that beat comes back in at 2:40, that would be cool. So let's see how we get out of this track at the ending. It's only 3 minutes and a half. Skip out a little bit to 3 minutes, 3:10. And a fade down. Ooh. That's super cool. Who thinks that we need some more bass in the kick drum? Oh, Ian Waters says the vocals are a bit too high for me towards the end. Okay. Do you mean frequency-wise or just loudness, or like the pitch is too high? I'm not sure what high means for you. I felt like the kick drum could use a little more bass, and there was no sub-bass element in this track. So it was like a nice sampley beat, lo-fi beat, but it felt like a kind of like a small boombox is playing it, you know, where you just don't have that thump. And I guess not every track in the universe has to have sub-bass, but there is space in there because the original sample had a little bit of a low frequency, like a lower melody line, like doom, boom, 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 boom. Like I could hear that. So I don't know what I would do with that. If I was mixing it, I might try to pull out that low element of the bass line in the sample and put it louder so it holds the lower mids. And I would definitely boost up the kick drum presence in the mix. Or the way I would present the kick drum in the mix is with more low end. So there's like a poof, poof on the bottom. And I don't know, if you wanted to start adding a sub-bass element, that might take it more into another direction. But I feel like there's a little room in the mix for more low frequency elements. My favorite thing is how the beginning was so tricky and we didn't know what was gonna come in. It opens up like a Chick Corea jam or something, you know, like ride cymbal, piano, bass. And now we're getting messed with. And then right there. So creatively, this is like up here. Song structure was great. I did feel from like 220 to 240, we should cut out the beats and have a moment with no beats to ride on that opening sample and just feel like, I mean, it's a basic, I'll try to extract a principle here. Get ready. A basic principle of music is that you can make a great track with two things. One, a harmonic element, and two, a rhythmic element. So if your harmony is like a loop, that's a sample. You keep that going, drop the beats, everybody's like, oh, the beat dropped. Then, to make the track interesting, all you have to do is cut the beats out like 2/3 of the way through, let that harmonic part keep going, and then drop the beat again. It's so simple. That's all you have to do to make really cool music at a beginner level is keep the chords and the bass line going, pull the beat away, make people wait 8 bars, and put the beat back. It could be as simple as muting your kick drum, unmuting the kick drum, dropping a crash cymbal when it comes back in, and it's like, bam, you've got development. That's the super simplest way you can make development in your tracks. And remember, a lot of electronic music came from devices that were looping, a drum machine that was looping, a sequencer that was looping, and then you had a bass line and a chord stack and the beats. So when people were doing live sets, composing on the fly, all they could do was, oh, people are getting bored, what do I do? Mute the drum machine. Synth is playing, tweak the filters. Okay, now it's getting boring again. Unmute the drum machine, boom, everybody goes crazy. That's how easy it can be. Song structure does not have to be like mapping it out, counting bars and beats and calculating minutes and seconds. It doesn't have to be like that at all. You can just listen to it, intuitively feel like when something needs to change, and then give yourself the tools to make it change, like muting the kick drum, cutting out the beats entirely, or unmuting the elements and making it more interesting. Earlier today, we were talking about a track that felt a little bit undeveloped, and we said, hey, why don't we add an open hi-hat? Just adding a percussion layer and then taking it out again can be enough, or adding that ride cymbal to go on top, to ding, 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 all that kind of thing. So those are a couple tips. I try to pull out useful things from music as well as criticizing things that could be a little bit better, like more bass. Ian Noct, what are you doing? Not giving us enough bass. I'm gonna press pause on your track. That's the punishment. If you don't have enough bass, we press pause. So next up, Danny Meyer. He said, I got this track at the end, but I want some other ears for feedback. Really good point. You need more people to tell you what's going on. So here we go, Danny Meyer, DA4K, track called One Reason. Change my titles. I do believe I need to turn this up. There we go. Charles Franco, I'm glad you like those tips. You know, keep it simple. Just use the elements you have. Variation, repetition, drop and bass. Oh, Matt Schultz is saying that last mix could work well with a high cut, 10 to 12K somewhere. A little less air, yeah, mellow it out. And then Scott Burke is saying use Wave Submarine to add sub from existing bass. Ooh, dirty Wave Submarine tips. I like it. Okay, I'm turning this up a little bit more. That's me on the master broadcast level. Danny Meyer. So far, so good. Now this has some sub-level. Looks like we got 8 minutes to go through here. What's gonna happen? Bringing in some drums. Drums sound a little dry. I think I could use a drum reverb on there, but I'm not sure. Let's see what happens later. I like that synth has a little variation, like a wobble, wobble, little volume, little wobble. That could be like an LFO modulator on the filter frequency, maybe. Crash cymbal, cut the beats. You get an instant breakdown. I love it. Always works. Absolutely cool rhythm from the synths. Amen breaks. All right. Ian Waters, thank you. Yes, Ian is doing a radio show. Anybody who's watching, DM Ian with your tracks. He's playing stuff from people in the group, putting it all together. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. I want to go back to this little build-up. We're at 225. There's a vocal thing. Hold on. Good placement of that vocal. All right. Something is happening in that build-up that we heard from Scott Burke. Not the same instrument, but the same principle. What's changing at this build-up to tell you that something's coming? 231. The delay is pitching up somehow, and I don't know how it's happening, but it's interesting, and I notice it. It's like do 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 do. Let's listen to that one more time. Somehow, the principle is that something is raising in pitch as we approach the drop. 227. Like that little synth is going into a delay and the repetitions are pitching up. That's very cool, very subtle, but really effective. Yeah, maybe LFO modulating the synth, LFO modulating pitch. Okay, right here we have kick drum and synths, just like Peter May. What's the next sound that's gonna come in? Turn on my headphones. All right, snares. That tom fill sounded like a Phil Collins, like do 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 do. 259 right here. Kick drum is beautiful. Okay, 310. So we get kick drum with some rack toms and snare drum. A little bit of a shaker. 329, that hi-hat comes in. So we need that hi-hat louder. I just went and jacked up the high shelf EQ to bring out that hi-hat. Yeah, this track is really flowing. I like how they kept us waiting for the percussion, and then when the hi-hat and the snare came in together, it's such an energy boost. And we're at 4 minutes right now. I'm totally in the groove. Ooh, tom bassline here in the liquid DNB element in there. Could be. Introducing a breakdown, have your pitch drop. Really good use of space. A lot of emptiness. Cut out a lot of elements. I like that little, what is that? Okay, this is great. Somehow the tracks today there's a lot of pitch rise happening. And what we heard right there was that little tap thing. You're going tick, 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 tick. To me, I'm not sure how they made this, but it sounds like, well, one thing you could do is use a gate, a noise gate, and sidechain the gate from a beat so that the gate is cutting holes in something else, and then apply the gate to a white noise swish. So if you have a sound that's like a constant static burst, and then you cut holes in it using a break beat or something, you can get that sound of static that's pulsing on the rhythm like a beat. Let's listen to this one more time. Coming right in here at 429. You hear that? It has the rhythm of a beat, but it's just a noise, like a static noise. And it's rising in pitch. I want to go make a track like that right now. And then a little snare drum roll back in the beat. Kick drum, bass, synths, the white noise thing again. And the hi-hat comes in. Awesome. 506, love it. So all right, we need to have more hi-hat or louder, you know? Ooh. Chord change happening, 530. And let me go back a little bit. Something's happening after this, when this section starts, something's happening with the synth that is growing and growing and growing and building energy. So we've got the kick drum, the bass line, the synth. The synth starts getting like longer duration and louder. And as that happens, it approaches a moment and then the chords change. So let's just listen right here from 506. Listen to what the synth is doing. Bow, bow, that sound. Dive bomb. And then we're in a chord change. That's interesting. Yeah, snare drum, hi-hats need to be louder throughout the track. I really like how the synths are working together with the melody, the mid-range, and the bass. The mid-range is like meow, meow, meow. That's very cool. Okay, 6:29 feels like the outro, but the track goes to 8 minutes, which means we're gonna get another minute of something cool. There's that synth that's growing and changing. All right. Nice and deep ending, 705. And that little hi-hat comes back in. This is great. So you can use a cycle of repetition to keep a track interesting, where you mute parts, introduce one thing, add another one, then mute them all again, and introduce another one, or introduce the same one, copy the pattern. What was that? Wait, did you hear that? Sounds like a woodpecker. 735. Ticka-ticka-ticka-ticka-tick. That's a cool sound. And again, the white noise. The theme of today is definitely about rhythmic elements from sound design. Oh, Linda says, it's my favorite type of music, but I can't figure out what genre it is. I would look in progressive house if you want more tracks like this, or trance, because it has epic build-ups and sweeps, very empty dropouts, and a lot of synth layers. So a lot of times genre is more about like the emotional quality of the track, or like the emotional vibe that the audience is going to be in for that set. It's hard to define though. So, wow, Papa, whose track is this? Oh, Danny Meyer. So on the mixing board, what I did was I pulled the bass EQ down and turned the high shelf EQ up, because I wanted more of the high frequency hi-hats and snares, and the low end didn't need much. So really the only problem with this track is mix-wise, we need more highs. Everything else was compositionally beautiful. The track's moving through sections, stuff is coming in and out, stays interesting, and it doesn't have too much extra stuff. You know, everything in there feels necessary. It blends together and it's like all part of one thing, and it's just a real nice track to listen to. So good job with that one. Get it done, give us the link so we can buy it. And it's 12:20. Let me know if you're watching and I did not play your track yet. Let me know, because it's getting on an hour and a half and I want to wrap it up before too long. So I'm going to go into Sebastian Ovenish, kind of an indie song, 140 BPM, and you use some gear. So let's see what we got. And Subwen Synth Indie. Ooh, rock vibe. Need to turn this up. Okay, so we got the live electric bass sound with some synths coming in. Oliver, yeah, send me your track. I like the harmony between the bass and the synth. It's a nice counterpoint. Just two notes, makes an interval, sounds good. Whoa, epic drop. I was expecting this when I saw 140 BPM. I was like, all right, dubstep format. Drums are definitely not loud enough for this to work. But the synth stack is pretty epic. The drum pattern is cool, but the drum mix is not crushing it. Speaking of programming, 145, listen to this. he just created a break that kept it interesting. What is the sound that dropped out of the drums? I'm gonna play that again. Just cut the hi-hat and bring it back in. Got variation, sounds good. Yeah, the drums sound kind of dry and kind of small. Like, it sounds like a bass player with a drum machine that isn't holding down the low end. So the drum mix needs to get louder, tougher, beefier, more in your face and deadly. Take the bass line as less prominent, especially because when you have this drop back here, like that drop at 102, you gotta have beats that are like boom, like really crushing it in the mix. This is 237, same thing. Oliver, send me a private message, just one link, just ping it, and I'll play it. Oh, that's cool. Right here, we're here to LFO on the volume. Bop, 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 bop. So this is cool. This is a great track where the sound design is on point with interesting sounds that are moving around and getting some variations and stuff. And the song structure has kind of the right parts, but it needs more development with the mix, definitely. And as you make the drums bigger and like the snare drums hit harder, that'll actually lead to an easier arrangement because that'll help you define the segments when there's like the beat drops. It's like, okay, that's a moment in the track. And before it, you can lead up to it with a little bit of silence. Like I was saying, muting the hi-hat and then unmuting it to make dramatic tension or something. So good track, but definitely needs more mix. And we're going to wrap it up today with Oliver Specht OSP track called Untitled 2. That's me turning up the master level right now. You guys have funny comments. The track's so happy I'm gonna pee rainbows. I know, I do that all the time. Lana's saying you don't have to only stick to chord tones. Mostly chord tones are being played in the melodies. Don't be afraid of passing tones between the chord tones. Y'all. Getting serious up there. Okay, this is Oliver. I'm gonna get the speakers. Did not expect that bass line. That synth stab is cool. Do we get that again? Yeah, that's cool. Oh, the cymbal comes in. That's amazing rhythm. That one little synth thing makes the whole track for me. fun track. It has a really nice groove. All right, we're in the breakdown. Kick drum is out. .335, I think we could lose a hi-hat in a minute. Like claps. Yeah, 347 right here. I would cut the claps. All right. Big synth stack. Kick drum. I'm gonna layer it up with hi-hats and claps, I think. Oh, that clicky percussion. That's cool. That sounds like rim shots. Yeah, man, you got us in the groove. Thomas P. Heckman sound. Yeah. I love that one thing. Oh, I missed it. That's fun. It's always changing too. Now there's something else coming in. Ride cymbal working, and then it comes. That's awesome. I want to count that. Hold on. 532. The ride cymbal was in for like almost 8 bars, but faded at 7. Interesting. Scott Burke wants more clap. Oh. Yeah. That little clap in between. I didn't even catch that. Yeah. Nice. A couple reverse sounds. And then a nice hard section of beats. And we're into the ending part. Awesome rhythm. The beats right here. It has that kind of like rolling grinder kind of feel. And this little synth at the end, that melody is really interesting. Okay, I want to go back to this main middle drop at 4 minutes. Let's just listen to what comes in after this. So we're at 355, high pass filter goes up. .407 comes back in, okay. Yeah, this is a great track. There was a little bit of a rough transition into the, like the meat of the track. So here we got the bass line or the synth stack with the beats and kind of waiting for the main snare effect to come in. 431. There's the hi-hat, so that's all kind of expected. $445. Okay, right there, 451. What happened? The buzzy synth stack dropped out, and we got that bass line that feels more like digga-digga-ding-ding-digga-ding, and that synth blink that goes bonk. But somehow the transition between the buzzing synth thing and this part that we're in right now was kind of sudden. So I want to go back to like 445, just check out how do we get here. This is 441. Yeah, one more time. Coming from 440. I like how the transition came on that one sound, that bonk. But maybe cut the kick drum a little bit before that. I would maybe cut the kick drum at 445 and have a little bit, like two bars more of no kick drum or something to just divide those two sections a little bit. Because the first time it struck me as a little bit sudden, but it's so good to transition on that one blink. 448. That's cool. So that's a pretty minor criticism. Let's go back to the big epic fade down, because all day we've been talking about how to use synths as a rhythmic element and what you can do to give a signal that something's changing in the track. When we're approaching a drop, we saw a couple instances of a ride cymbal pitching up or a riser pitching up or something pitching up to indicate something's about to happen. What happens right here, 330? We're in a breakdown, right? No kick drum. There's a pitch element that comes in. Okay, something goes up right here. And then it comes back down. I'm not sure how that happened, but it's got a really positive effect for sending a signal that stuff's about to change. And this sound is great. We had a high-pass filter taking the drums out. That's what we call a pregnant pause. And one more time, this groove is so chunky and chuggy. I love it, man. Digga, 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 digga. That's what you need from techno to keep grinding along. So that's going to do it for today. It's about 12:30. It's time for me to go outside and ride my bicycle so I can sweat outside instead of sweating inside. All this gear gives off a lot of heat. I turn off my air conditioner to keep the noise down on the mic, but it gets a little bit warm. So, oops. Yeah, thanks, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching and sharing tracks, and especially for commenting on each other's music, because it's the best thing to see other people share impressions of how your music makes them feel. That's the exciting thing. That's what we all want, is really to make tracks that other people like and hear it, feel it, enjoy it. On the topic of making tracks that people are going to like, one more time, let me screen share and dip on into the Mixitecture members site. Oh, except what's this? Mixitecture.com. New front page up on top. If you need help with your mixes, especially with your low end, I want to point you towards Gain Staging Strategy for Bass Mixes. This is a whole entire hands-on course that I built to teach you how to mix with built-in guided Ableton projects. You can read all about it when you click that button. It takes you through some pretty revolutionary stuff with hands-on lessons where you learn by doing it inside live with audio clips that tell you what to do. That's me recorded in the session telling you what to do. There's automation showing you what to do, where the faders move, the plugins move, you hear the change, and you understand how that change makes it sound better. And then you do hands-on activities where I tell you literally, set this track to this dB, press play, hear what's happening, mute this track. It goes step by step through the action of making a mix inside this course to teach you how to make your track sound better. It's called Gain Staging Strategy for Bass Mixes. Go to Mixitecture.com. You can get the course and find out how to make your track sound better. And if you think it's too expensive, send me a message. I'm willing to help you out with a payment plan, a coupon code, something like that. I want you in these courses. I want you doing them. I want you making your track sound better. I know the people watching this broadcast, you already know about it, but for anybody watching the replay, The resources are available to help you unlock your creativity, get the music out of your mind and into the speakers where other people can listen to it, so you're not sitting there by yourself all day long wondering if your life has meaning. Oh my God, that's dark. Steve. Thanks everybody for watching. It's not that bad. We are connected and there are people who are going to help you. So come back next week, next Monday, new track feedback post, share your mixes. We'll trade some comments and we'll get it done. Did I miss anything? Oliver, thank you. Paul Robinson, thanks. Scott Burke, Randy Adams, Matt Schultz, Bodarev, all the regular crew. Thanks so much for sharing your music. I'm going to step outside and have some fun in the sunlight, and I'll see you guys